Welcome to the first video in the 2019 Integrated Data Viewer Intermediate tutorial series. I've created a special bundle for this video. You can find it in the catalog. The path is in the box at the top of the screen. We're going to focus on some of the choices that you have to make when you create or open a bundle. Most of making a bundle is creating displays, which I've covered in other videos, and tweaking them, which is a bit too tedious for one of these videos, but I will show you how to actually save the bundle once all of your displays are in place. I've already saved this one, but I'll go through all the steps. If you save a bundle as a favorite, you'll be able to access it through a menu in the IDV instead of having to find it in your file system. I would recommend saving bundles that you use most frequently here. Toolbar bundles are the most obvious on the screen and the simplest to open. All of the data for this bundle is from Goes East, so I'll just make that the name of my bundle. You'll probably want a more descriptive title if you ever plan to use more than one Goes related bundle. Here, just like when we open bundles, there's a list of checkboxes. Check Views if you want the particular perspectives on your screen to be saved. You'll almost always want to save your displays. You can have a bundle with just data, but most people prefer to have pre-made displays for the data that they use frequently. You'll also normally want to save your data sources. The exception is if you're making a template bundle that you plan to use to display data from different sources different times you open the bundle. Then you would want to leave this box unchecked. The bundle that I made doesn't have any Jython associated with it. Jython will get its own video later. You would typically save the relative data path if you're saving the bundle to an external source, like flash drive or an online file sharing system. If you're concerned about continued data availability, it's probably a good idea to save a zipped bundle. This downloads your data rather than just saving the paths and stores it locally. However, it's probably not what you want if you want your bundle to show real-time or forecast data. I want to show you a few things about the dialog that you get when you open a bundle, so I'll have to close this and then reopen it. Here's that list of checkboxes that we just kept clicking through in the Intro to Bundles video. This time, we're actually going to talk about the options. If you only want to show the bundle and not any other data that you have loaded, you probably do want to check the first box. The second box should be checked unless you have a window with displays that you want to preserve and keep separate from the bundle displays. Sometimes this is what you'll want, other times you may want to add the bundle displays to the same window as your current displays. You would want to change the data paths if the bundle is old and the data sources have moved, or if you're working off of an external storage system like a flash drive or file sharing system. The IDV can only match the display region in certain cases, but checking the last option shouldn't cause any errors at the very least. To show you what this does, I'm going to change the display region before I load this bundle. Again, just ignore the flurry of windows for a few seconds. Once everything's settled, you can see that the main window shows the Caribbean, even though the saved bundle had displays covering half the planet. That's because we matched the display region. The different windows are linked. If you rotate this one, you can see that the smaller one in the back rotates too. This is because of a setting in the Properties menu. If we turn off Share Views here, the windows become unlinked. We can relink the windows just as easily. I have a little bit too much fun playing with these linked windows. You can also move the transect around. I have it set to show the cloud top height relative to the equator. The transect view is the only one in this bundle that isn't affected when you rotate either of the other views. Let's say I want to open the bundle, but I already have a display made. First, for this example, I'm going to need to make a display. Let's go with GFS surface temperature, and we can compare that with the Goes sea surface temperature. Since the bundle only has one time step, there's not really any reason to display more than one GFS time step. Now we open the bundle and we make sure that the top box is not checked, and I'm going to go ahead and use the current window for the bundle. Now GFS temperature is shown with all of the other displays. The black chunky stuff around the edges is a Goes quality mask. We can get rid of that and assume that the GFS output is good there. Now that everything's in the same place, we can switch between the two temperature products and compare them. Some bundles can be opened anywhere in the world or for any day that has data available, but others are bound to specific times and places. This next bundle won't have much data, but it will show you how to create geographically and temporally independent bundles. We'll use the most recent run of the Global Ensemble forecasting system for some data to play with. It doesn't really matter what parameter we plot since we won't be analyzing anything. At first, output is shown for the entire world. We can zoom in, but the display still includes output for parts of the world that we can't see. We could have changed this by matching the display region when we created the display, but we can also fix it for the display that we already have. When you right-click on a display, you have the option to open the Properties menu. There's a lot in here, but we only need to see the Spatial Subsetting tab. All that's needed to make the change is to click on the checkbox and hit Apply. Now when we change the display region, only the data for the geographic area that we need is processed and shown. This is the main factor that makes a bundle geographically independent. We'll save the bundle before looking into temporal independence. Again, I'll save it to my toolbar because I'm going to open it again in a few hours. We need to make sure not to save this as a zipped bundle. That would guarantee that the saved bundle would only work for this particular time. I'm going to close everything for now and come back in a few hours to see what time the bundle will show data for. Okay, so it's been about 5 hours since I saved the bundle. I'm going to make Florida my display area before I open it back up to test the geographical independence. Now we can open the bundle and try to match the display region. The geographical independence did work. We see model output and Florida. Now we can look at the time. It's 0Z on the 3rd. That's not quite the current time, but it is the time of the last model run. If you remember, the bundle was created at about 22Z on the 2nd. Because of that, we know that this bundle is temporally independent. To check if any dataset is temporally independent, we can check the source's properties. The resolver link should end with something like latest.xml, like it does here. The GUI is just one way to create bundles. You can also use the IDV scripting language, ISL, to specify the properties of a bundle. It actually gives you more flexibility than the GUI. We'll cover it in later episodes, along with Jython. If you have any questions, check out our website at unidata.ucar.edu or email us at support-idv@unidata.ucar.edu.